WWE reportedly has discussed plans for a Roman Reigns versus CM Punk match at WrestleMania 41 next year. Athena is still the forever champion in the Ring of Honor Women's Division, retaining her title at Final Battle. Chris Jericho is still the Ring of Honor World Champion, but we also saw the return of Bandido. Nigel McGuinness returned to competing inside a Ring of Honor ring last night too. Danhausen also made his stunning return to ROH. Commander wins the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Brody King gets 3 more points in the Continental Classic against Commander on AEW Rampage. Naomi retains the Women's Tag Team Championships alongside Bianca Belair, seemingly confirming she's going to be Jade Cargill's replacement as one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions. It's also been confirmed SmackDown will be going to 3 hours come January next year. WWE reportedly is discussing hosting a premium live event in Mexico City in 2025, and with the ratings for Saturday night's main event a disappointment, we'll let you know all the details. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with possible talks and plans for CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41 next year. Now, according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, a major WrestleMania match has been discussed and is the likely direction for next year's premium live event. Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp heard via WWE sources that CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at next year's WrestleMania has been heavily discussed. Now, Fightful say they'd heard a number of weeks ago this wasn't particularly the plan, but it had been adjusted as of late. Now, Fightful have been told that CM Punk had also hoped for the match. Roman Reigns and CM Punk have had one televised singles match nearly 11 years ago. The match took place on the WWE Old School Raw edition in January of 2014. Roman Reigns emerged victorious at the time. Now, a number of months later, CM Punk did a post-WWE interview on that infamous Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana, talking about how in other matches he had involving Roman Reigns, WWE insistently told him to make Roman look strong, which was a talking point that stuck around for quite some time. Fightful Select, of course, was also told last year, ahead of CM Punk's return to WWE, that Roman Reigns was among the talent that was not keen on him returning to the company. Now, Fightful have also been told that this is a drastically different direction than what had been planned for both talent even as of a couple of months ago, none of which involved The Rock. Now, it was noted to Fightful that if The Rock informs WWE of an involvement in next year's WrestleMania, much of the card could change, including this match. So, of course, we'll let you know if we get any more details on this, but would you like to see CM Punk and Roman Reigns next year at WrestleMania? And if it does happen, should it be the main event of one of the nights too? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now let's talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle last night. Athena continues to make history as the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. On Friday night, she and Billie Starkz didn't just become the first woman in ROH history to headline a Hammerstein Ballroom show. Athena also extended her already record-breaking reign, which now stands at 742 days as of this recording. Athena faced her former protege in a rematch of last year's Final Battle main event, which also saw her retain the title. Starkz dedicated the match to the inaugural Women of Honor champion Sumi Sakai and wore her gear from that inaugural title match to the ring. Starkz and Athena quickly made the match feel personal. Starkz did an Alabama slam off the apron and followed up with a swanton from the middle rope. There was a ref bump which allowed Alexi Nair to slip the champion her microphone in a callback to last year, but Starkz was ready and countered. She also countered the O-face relatively early in the match, but Athena hit the move in the closing sequence and pinned Stark's shoulders to the mat for the 3 to continue the forever reign. Next up for Athena, the Tokyo Dome. Last week, she beat Stark's legit Layla Hirsch and Women's TV champion Red Velvet to qualify for the inaugural International Women's Cup at Wrestle Dynasty next month. Now, Chris Jericho is still the Ring of Honor World Champion, but his next challenger may have already been revealed. The most wanted Bandido made his return to ROH to confront Chris Jericho at Final Battle. Jericho competed in his second defense of his title reign over Matt Cardona during Friday's show, albeit with the help of Brian Keefe and Big Bill, despite Cardona getting a visual win over the champion while the referee was distracted. Jericho rolled over for an easy pinfall after Bill played a distraction, and Keith struck Cardona with the Ring of Honor World title belt and looked to pour salt in the wounds of defeat with a post-match beatdown. However, Bandido's music hit and the Luchador emerged to run Jericho, Keith and Bill away, making his return to Ring of Honor for the first time since being injured last year. Now, there is some discussion on whether or not he was injured during this spot, because as soon as he got in the ring, he did a missile drop kick and then looked kind of dazed and confused afterwards. As of right now, we don't have any more information on that. If we do get any more info, we'll let you know in a future video. But Bandido last wrestled on AEW Rampage in June of last year, making his most recent ROH outing a month earlier, but had been teased as returning with vignettes starting earlier this month and was reportedly in New York ahead of the Hammerstein Ballroom pay-per-view event. So, Bandido is now back and possibly Jericho's next challenger for the ROH World title. Speaking of returns, Nigel McGuinness back competing inside of a Ring of Honor ring. Friday night at ROH Final Battle, Lee Moriarty issued an open challenge for his Pure Championship, Shane Taylor by his side. As the crowd looked on in anticipation, a familiar tune played through the speakers of the iconic Hammerstein Ballroom, and the longest reigning Pure Champion in ROH history, Nigel McGuinness, answered the challenge, entering the ring for his third match since returning after more than a decade on the shelf at AEW All In. After exchanging words with both Moriarty and Taylor, McGuinness announced the match would be competed under old school rules, dismissing the judges sitting ringside, that being Jerry Lynn, Rocky Romero and Christopher Daniels. Taylor and McGuinness were at odds throughout the match. Several minutes in, McGuinness made it sound as though Moriarty had hit him with an illegal closed fist. Taylor got on the mic and demanded that referee Paul Turner come down to help Mike Posey call the match. McGuinness nearly beat Moriarty on multiple occasions, but in the end, Moriarty made one of his personal heroes tap out to retain his title. Following the victory, the men shook hands and Moriarty raised McGuinness's hand with his injured shoulder in the air. The fans chanted, "Thank you, Nigel," as he left the ring. Of course, McGuinness made a surprise return to the ring at All In Wembley Stadium back in August, competing in the Casino Gauntlet match. He also had a match at Dynamite Grand Slam to face his oldest rival, Bryan Danielson. He still hasn't won a match since making his comeback, but he did recently clear up misconceptions about his in-ring retirement, so McGuinness could still once again appear in the future inside the squared circle. Now, another return. Danhausen is back in Ring of Honor, with Ring of Honor making its long-awaited return to the Hammerstein Ballroom Friday night. An AEW fan favorite also made his own long-awaited return to Final Battle. Final Battle kicked off with Mansoor of MXN Collection against former Ring of Honor TV champion Atlantis Jr. In the late stages of the match, Mansoor's partner, Mason Madden, was joying with fans when a masked man crawled from under the ring. When Madden turned around, the man pulled off his mask, itself branded in a familiar fashion, to reveal his identity, that being Danhausen, the face-painted AEW star who last wrestled for Ring of Honor in February and hasn't been seen on AEW programming in a year. The very nice, very evil wrestler proceeded to hit Madden with a low blow, prompting deafening cheers that nearly drowned out commentary. This opened up Atlantis to hit a tope suicida on Madden. Atlantis eventually picked up the victory over Mansoor. After the match, Danhausen attempted to curse Madden, but got choked in the corner instead. However, Danhausen gave Madden a German suplex before dumping his signature teeth into Madden's mouth and hitting a running kick to the jaw. He helped Atlantis to his feet and then celebrated. Now, as I mentioned, Danhausen hasn't been seen in a while. He last wrestled for AEW at the 0-hour pre-show for World's End 2023, almost exactly a year ago. He last competed in Ring of Honor in February when he defeated Brandon Cutler. In November, Fightful Select reported that Danhausen was still under contract despite not being used. He's kept an active schedule on the independent scene at conventions. During a recent appearance on Marcus Buff Bagwell's podcast, Danhausen stated that he believed MJF didn't want Tony Khan to hire him, but he is now, I guess, back under the umbrella and he's competing in Ring of Honor. Now, it was a busy night for Commander on two different programs, but a successful one for Ring of Honor because at Final Battle, Brian Cage put his world television title on the line in a survival of the fittest match, taking on AR Fox, Mark Davis, Willie Mack, Blake Christian, and Commander. Cage lost his title, and the man who won it could, I guess, now carry it into the Continental Classic. Mack, who has been the center of some news recently after he had concerns about working for Ring of Honor / AEW and accepting bookings in GCW, hit 4 consecutive stunners only to be eliminated by the champion. Davis eliminated Cage shortly thereafter, but was eliminated himself by Christian. The match ultimately came down to Christian and Commander, who finished Christian off with a shooting star press to become the new champion. Now, Commander nearly won the same title at last year's final battle. He is also competing in the Continental Classic for an injured Juice Robinson, which he also technically did last night as well on AEW Rampage Holiday Bash. Now, the December 20 episode of Rampage Holiday Bash saw a change in the points landscape in the Gold League, with the Continental Classic semi-finals and finals at World's End just a little over a week away. Brody King took on Commander in a frenzied effort to add even more points to his decorated scorecard. By the time the dust cleared, King came out with 3 more points to his name, officially creating a 5-way tie in the current Gold League standings. Now, Commander, he may be Ring of Honor World Television Champion, but he's mathematically eliminated from progressing to the Continental Classic semi-finals or finals. But he came out the gate swinging, but unfortunately, he didn't get the victory. Now, with the victory, King is officially tied with Claudio Castagnoli, Ricochet, Will Ospreay, and Darby Allin in tournament standings, each men having 6 points to their name. King, however, has suffered 2 losses in the tournament, unlike the other 4 men, who have only suffered 1 loss in the tournament thus far. Of course, there are still more matches to come, so we'll wait and see who indeed goes on to the World's End pay-per-view. Now, switching over to SmackDown, it looks like we have a replacement when it comes to the Women's Tag Team Championships. Naomi is seemingly an official Women's Tag Team Champion, while Jade Cargill is on the shelf after helping Bianca Belair defend the belts against Women's Champion Nia Jax and Candice LeRae in the main event of SmackDown. In a backstage segment in Gorilla, Belair went to hand one of the titles to Naomi, who said she wouldn't take it until she had earned it. Miss Money in the Bank Tiffany Stratton was also told to watch the match from the back by LeRae and Jax, but did make an appearance at the end of the bout. Belair and Naomi dominated the first portion of the match, but the challengers turned the tide around when Jax tagged in without Belair initially seeing. Jax sent Belair shoulders first into the ring post and used her braid, tugging it around the ring ropes. Jax distracted the referee so LeRae could get some cheap shots in on Belair. Jax held Belair up and LeRae hit her with a missile drop kick, but Belair kicked out. Naomi was able to tag in and countered the Annihilator, sending Jax into the ring post face first, busting her open. Naomi took her out, then moved Jax over to Belair, who hit a 450 splash. LeRae pulled her partner off the pin, however. Stratton then came down the ramp with the briefcase, and Jax wanted her to give up the case, but the referee challenged Jax when Stratton handed it over. She was knocked off the apron by Belair, who took her out on the outside. Naomi hit the split-legged moonsault on LeRae for the victory. So it would appear now that Naomi is officially one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, just as long as Jade Cargill is on the shelf. Now, speaking of SmackDown, many people had assumed it was the case. It has now been confirmed. While the wrestling world has been focused on the move of Raw to Netflix starting in the new year, SmackDown is also set to undergo a major change. WWE updated its Where to Watch page featuring all of its programming on Friday, and eagle-eyed social media users noticed the change to the blue brand. SmackDown, of course, will remain on the USA Network, but will move from 2 hours to 3 hours beginning on January 3rd, 3 days before Raw debuts on its new streaming service home. Unlike Raw, SmackDown has moved networks and nights over the years, originally being broadcast on Thursday nights when it debuted in April of 1999. The show moved to Friday nights on the CW in September 2006. The blue brand has also been on Sci-Fi, most recently Fox, before moving back to USA Network. It's also been on Tuesday. It's been on most nights you can possibly think of. Now, while WWE has not made an official announcement regarding SmackDown's extra hour, it could possibly be announced, at any point. The episode will see Bianca Belair and Naomi defend the Women's Tag Team Championship, and of course, again, this was widely expected. When it comes to the runtime of Raw on Netflix, it's not going to be as concrete as SmackDown, but could be 3 hours, could be 2 hours, could be 4 hours, just depends basically how long WWE wants to tell the stories they want to tell on a Monday night. Now, this year, of course, we've seen several international WWE PLEs. WWE has fully embraced the world in world wrestling entertainment over the past few years, as the company has taken some of its biggest events all over the globe. In 2024 alone, countries like France, Germany, and Scotland all got their first premium live events, and while the likes of England and Australia have played host to many WWE events over the years, they've recently hosted shows like Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber, rather than house show style events like Insurrection or Super Showdown or Rebellion or something like that. However, there is one wrestling hotbed that WWE has yet to target for a premium live event, which looks set to change in 2025. Dave Meltzer reports in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Mexico City, Mexico has been discussed as a potential PLE location in the next 12 months. Meltzer noted that Mexico City already has so much wrestling that attracts tourists, mainly CMLL's weekly shows at Arena Mexico, meaning that the Mexican government will likely not pay as much money to try and bring WWE to the nation's capital. With that said, Meltzer believes WWE could easily sell out in a venue like, the Mexico City Arena or Arena CDMX, which has hosted a number of AAA Triple Mania cards over the year and would attract a large audience for a PLE level card. Now, WWE have already been to Arena Ciudad recently during the company's brief tour of Mexico in July, which was said to be very well received. Event that included the in-ring debut of Stephanie Vacqua for the company following her departure from CMLL days earlier. Rey Mysterio was also featured on the show and has been very vocal about potentially bringing a PLE to Mexico, claiming the Mexican fans deserve something special. So, of course, we get any confirmation on that or updates on plans, we'll let you know in a future video as well. And finally, last weekend saw the return of Saturday Night's Main Event. We now know the ratings, but were they a bit of a disappointment to WWE? Now, WWE Saturday Night's Main Event made its long-awaited return to NBC on December 14, with the show producing many memorable moments like Jesse Ventura's return to commentary, Chelsea Green winning the Women's United States Championship, and Cody Rhodes finally getting to wear the Winged Eagle belt to the ring. However, the ratings were maybe not as high as maybe some had thought when it came to actually people watching on NBC. It was around 1.59 million viewers, earning a 0.42 number in the 18 to 49 demographic. There was also 700,000 viewers that were watching on Peacock as well. So it was roughly about 2.3 million people watching overall. Now, Dave Meltzer talked about these figures on Wrestling Observer Radio and believes that WWE may be disappointed. He said, quotes, "There was competition, but this thing was promoted so hard that it has to be considered a disappointment." The competition in question was the Heisman Trophy presentation on ESPN, which won the night in both average viewers and in key demographics, and the NBA Cup semifinals between the Houston Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder on ABC. Despite having the advantage of being on network television for the first time since September when SmackDown was on Fox, Saturday Night's Main Event performed worse in the ratings on network television than SmackDown produced while being on cable. Now, WWE will hope to improve on those numbers when Saturday Night's Main Event returns on January 25, with the second installment of the event taking place at the Frostbank Center in San Antonio, Texas. No matches have been announced for the show as WWE is putting all of its focus on Raw's move to Netflix on January 6th, but given that the 2025 Royal Rumble Premium Live event will take place 7 days after WWE's trip to San Antonio, the next edition of Saturday Night's Main Event will likely be one of the first stops on the road to WrestleMania 41, even though, of course, Triple H has says the road officially kicks off when Raw moves to Netflix on January 6th. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.